Of quick housekeeping things before we get started here. As I mentioned, my name is Tiv Bensali, Vice President of Marketing at AccountantsWorld. I want to thank you on behalf of AccountantsWorld for joining us today for this session from Rick Telberg. Also wanted to remind you that the webinar audio can be broadcast over your computer speakers or via telephone, and you can go to the audio section of the GoToWebinar panel to select your preference. If you select telephone, you will be given a call-in number and an access code to be able to reach this. For the best audio experience during the webinar, we recommend that you close all browsers to avoid any audio streaming conflict if you are using your computer speakers. This webinar today is eligible for CPE credit. One free CPE credit will be offered, and that is based on active webinar participation. And the way that we define active webinar participation is that you must attend the live webinar for no less than 50 minutes. You must respond to all polling questions during the webinar, and those will happen throughout the webinar. And then there will also be a post-webinar survey, which will be available immediately after you close your webinar window, and it'll also be emailed to you in a post-webinar email. And you simply have to go ahead and complete that survey and click submit within 24 hours after the webinar has ended. If you complete the survey right after the webinar is over, you don't need to worry about the link in the email. You'll have already accomplished it one time. In case you haven't used the GoToWebinar panel before, just a couple of tips on it. You can see the under the attendee control panel, you can use the orange arrow to expand or hide the panel. Under audio options, as I mentioned, you can choose telephone or computer speakers, and if you choose telephone, you'll be given a dial-in number and access code. If you have any questions for Rick or for AccountantsWorld during the presentation or after the presentation, simply expand the questions tab, and you can type in your question and click send, and we'll try to get to as many of those as we can. And finally, if you haven't downloaded the handouts for today's webinar, you can go under handouts and you'll see a PDF file that includes all of the slides that Rick will be presenting today. So those are available to you to follow along with or print out at your convenience. Today is the last session in the 2015 Exper webinar series. And if you have missed any of the previous sessions, we've had some of the best thought leaders in the industry and also myself as well. So if you'd like to hear any of the sessions again and didn't get a chance to attend them live, you can view any of the webinars on demand at your convenience. Simply go to accountantsworld.com, go about 2/3 of the way down our homepage, and you'll see a link for view all webinar recordings. And on that page, you'll see all of the recordings available, both the PDFs and on-demand audio or video recordings, audio recordings of the webinar. So it's a chance for you to catch up on any of them that you may have missed so far and be able to share that content with other people as well. I wanted to provide a brief word about our sponsor, AccountantsWorld. AccountantsWorld is the recognized pioneer in cloud computing solutions for accountants, has been for almost 15 years at this point, well over a decade. What's unique about AccountantsWorld solutions is that all of them were built for the cloud from the ground up. So rather than being a DOS or Windows solution that was glued together to become a cloud solution, all of these solutions have been built specifically for the cloud to maximize taking advantage of the capabilities of the cloud. And what that means for you is you'll have better control over your core services, you'll be able to work more collaboratively with your clients, and you'll be able to achieve higher profits in fewer hours. AccountantsWorld offers solutions in accounting, and that's a complete accounting solution, including bookkeeping, write-up, and trial balance. There's a practice management solution, a solution for website, which we'll be talking about more at the end of the webinar, solutions for after-the-fact payroll, document management, client portals, and then we also include our award-winning payroll relief solution, which is a solution to automate live payroll processing for your clients. Whether you're currently doing payroll for your clients or not, we strongly encourage you to take a look at what payroll relief can do for your bottom line without you needing to add additional staff or take a great deal of your time. And the key there is that we provide a level of automation through the cloud that nobody else can provide there. So that's what AccountantsWorld is all about. And as I mentioned, right after Rick's presentation today, I want you to stick around for just 1 minute, and we're going to be talking about a really special offer that we're providing to everyone today, and we're going to be making it public as well. But you guys will get a sneak peek at this, and it is an offer that we've never done before. That's all I'll say at this point. So I think it's going to be very interesting for a lot of people who are listening in today. Before I turn it over to Rick Telberg, a brief bio. Rick is the president and CEO of the Bay Street Group, LLC. He's the publisher of CPA Trendlines Research. I know many of you have gone to cpatrendlines.com before, and he is the publisher of that. Rick is a veteran analyst, advisor, and commentator on the accounting industry. Previously, he's been editor-in-chief of Accounting Today and the director of online content at CPA to Biz. And Rick is a graduate of New York University. So at this time, it's my pleasure to turn over the presentation to Rick Telberg.
Hi, thanks a lot. It's great to be here today. A real honor. The AccountantsWorld has been at the forefront of innovation for years and years in the accounting business. So it's a double honor to be here with the AccountantsWorld team and the AccountantsWorld audience. Thank you very much. Let me just check. Div, are you there? Sharon, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Does the screen look good to you? Are we ready to go?
Yep, we're seeing your title screen right now.
Okay. And the question today is, how ready are you? We have at least 97 tips, tools, suggestions, questions that people should be asking themselves these days, that they should be starting on these days in order to make 2016 the best season ever. Of course, that's a little bit about me. Div covered that. The CPA Trendlines team is not just me. It is a bunch of very smart people, including Chandra Bansali down there in the right-hand corner, who we listen to and go to for guidance and strategic advice and contributions to CPA Trendlines. So what you'll be getting today is some of the best of the thinking from the best thinkers out there. Let's start with last year's train wreck. It was awful. This year, it doesn't have to be a train wreck. And we're going to find out ways that last year was a train wreck and this year doesn't have to be a train wreck. You'll notice throughout the presentation URL in the lower right-hand corner if you want to go to CPA Trendlines for additional information on any of these things. The URLs are there like footnotes in case you want to see them. So if last year was a train wreck, this year could be a speeding train. The question is, are we ready to get on that train? Let me check. Oh yeah, here we are. Looking for my controls. Pardon me. There we go. And we're ready for the first poll question. I thought we'd start with getting an idea from everybody online today. At this time, how do you expect 2016's busy season to compare to last year's? It's a standard question that we ask on the busy season surveys that CPA Trendlines has been doing now for about 11 years. We have a total of 100,000 responses over that time. And we get a pretty good idea, at least about the subjectivity of things. So the question is, select one of the following. Do you expect it to be much better than last year? Somewhat better than last year? About the same? Somewhat worse? Or much worse than last year? And really, it's any way you want to define it. You can define it in terms of stress levels. You can define it in terms of number of clients, revenue per client, profitability, sanity, insanity, whatever you want to define it as. And if you want to take a moment as well to use the chat feature to just give us a couple words about why you chose that. What is it about 2016 that made you choose much better than last year, or somewhat better than last year, or about the same, or somewhat worse than last year, or much worse? Give us a word or two about what you think 2016 is going to look like for you. Let's get an idea from everybody here on what we're looking at. There was a recent survey of 301 managing partners that next year is going to be a much more difficult year for the accounting business than last year. That is, as far as I'm concerned, a controversial finding. Once we get the readings in from this poll, I'll give you my point of view.
All right, Rick, and we are just about everyone has gone ahead and voted here, so I'll give just a few more seconds. If you haven't voted yet, please go ahead and select your response. You don't need to click, or excuse me, you do need to click the submit button as well, so please make sure to do that. And we'll close the poll in about 10 seconds here. Okay, going once, going twice, and we are done. Okay, Rick, so we have an equal number of people, 37% saying somewhat better than last year and about the same, 16% saying much better than last year, and 9% saying somewhat worse than last year.
That is a definitely positive outlook. So I think everybody, I think 37, 16, it's about 40, 50, 60% of the people on the call today are pretty optimistic that next year is going to be better than this year. And I'm looking forward to going over how we can all make sure that happens. Let's see, can I advance? Well, last year when we asked the question, and compared it to the year before, we asked much better, somewhat better, about the same, somewhat worse, much worse. In 2015, we had about 44% of the people saying that they had a better year than last year, which is typical. We start out with 50 or 60% of the people saying that their year is going to be better than last year, and it ends up with 10 or 20 points less than that. That's because all of the unpredictables that come in, all of the unforeseen circumstances. Let's see what we can do to understand what those unforeseen circumstances were last year and what they might be this year. One of the things that we measure are the metrics of profit per client, revenue per client, number on extension, number of clients, net profit, total revenue, and we index them. We index them in this case comparing 2014 to 2015. And in 2015, we had difficulty almost by every measure across almost all firms. It was a really tough year. And coming out of it, we came out of it with a lot of negative outlook on the economy, lack of confidence. Everybody felt better about themselves and their firms, less confident about their clients, and least confident about the U.S. economy. So people are most confident about those things that they can do for themselves, that they are directly in control of, and less confident about those things that where decisions are made in faraway places like Washington and Wall Street. But the reasons for the problems last year, in addition to the ACA, goes to a lot of it goes to the IRS handling. And if you thought last year was bad, the IRS is telling us 2016 could be even more difficult. When you look at the level of service, the total returns done, and the inflation-adjusted funding, the lines are going in the wrong directions. Wait times at the IRS telephone service is going through the roof. It's impossible to get a hold of them, as I'm sure everybody on this call knows. The budget reductions, down 17, 18% in inflation-adjusted terms since 2010. It would be nice, I think we all agree, if the IRS could be overhauled or even disappear or turned into a 3-page plan. Few of us think that's possible or realistic in our lifetimes. So for the time being, we're going to have to just work that much harder, that much smarter to get the job done. The fact is, individual income tax returns are going up and business entity income tax returns are going up. Over the long haul, it's an expanding economy. That's the good news. It's an expanding economy. What we're not doing as a country or as a profession is expanding our capacity to deal with that expanding economy. The number of calls to the IRS accounts management telephone lines have been increasing. People need more and more help with this more and more complicated situation. Last year, the line I look at here is the e-filing receipts among tax professionals. It rose from 69.9 million to 70 million, up 0.1%, while overall, or the self-prepared actually went up 6%. So more and more, this is an important thing to understand for most of us, more and more of the most basic tax returns are getting done by people themselves, civilians, consumers. Are they doing it right? Are they doing it wrong? We only find out a year or two later when they come in with trouble. Over the long term, the market share for the tax professional e-filing market has consistently declined. In 2008, it was 72% of the market. 2015, it was 61% of the market. At this rate, it'll be 60% of the market in 2016. Which necessitates the fact that we have to be giving better and more higher value service, and we're going to be focusing on that. And their opportunities are for the single owner firms. Last year was particularly difficult for single owner firms. They were less equipped for some of the changes that came down at the last minute than larger firms. Profit per client, revenue per client, number on extension were all much more difficult. The biggest differences were in the tax code and regulatory changes at the last minute. 74% of the people who said they were having a worse season blamed it on the late changing tax code and regs. 51% said their clients were late, unprepared, confused. The late or erroneous K-1s and 1099s are the bane of our existence, and 40% of the hardest working firms out there are getting hit hard by IRS operations. We're also looking at staffing issues, and we're starting to see some staffing issues show up as a major concern going into 2016. The early bird gets the worm on this one. If you're not already staffing up and training now, you're missing out on probably some of the best people. So when we look at the major issues, it's about being clients later unprepared, late changing tax codes and regs, being able to absorb those later erroneous documents, surmounting IRS operations, and dealing with those staffing issues. Interestingly, pricing pressures eased up a little bit last year. I don't expect that to happen this year. I think we're going to face a new round of pricing pressures. A new and unexpected problem last year, we expected Obamacare to be a problem, but unexpected last year was the issue of cyber liability threats. The cost and danger of data breaches and the number of accountants who witnessed client issues with identity theft, and then having to deal with correcting those issues and dealing with the clients and dealing with the agencies, something that they did not teach us in tax school. I mean, the average cost per compromised record is $200. And tax refund fraud is the #1 cyber risk facing CPAs, according to the malpractice liability company Aon, which issued this lovely infographic. So the next question in our poll, if we're ready for that, is what percentage of your clients have been victims of tax-related identity identity theft. I want to see if we can get an idea of how important or how significant an issue this is. Was it a significant issue last year? If it was, we at CPA Trendlines will be taking a much closer look at it in 2016 and focusing a lot of our reporting and analysis on what to do about it. Because it is clearly something that consumers are under worried about. CPAs are worried about. Let's see how appropriate it is to worry. So what percentage of your clients have been victims of tax-related identity theft?
Okay, and we have the poll open right now. I see the majority of you have voted already, which is great. If you haven't done so, please go ahead and select one of the 5 options there, press your submit button, and just a reminder that voting in all 3 of the poll questions is required in order to earn CPE credit today. So we'll take about 10 more seconds here. If you can please go ahead and select one of your options and click submit. Okay, going once, going twice, and we're done. Okay,
and
Rick,
that's interesting.
Yep.
Less than 10%, 93% of today's respondents say that less than 10% of their clients have been victims of identity theft. That's encouraging. Another 5% say maybe about 25% of their clients have had problems, and that's interesting. 63% of CPAs who answered a survey for the Journal of Accountancy said at least one of their clients was a victim of tax identity theft last year. So it's something to watch out for. It's nothing to panic about, but it's going to have to be part of our thinking and our processes and our procedures in order to make sure that we're doing the right things. So if we're prepping for tax season, let's start with some of the basic crucial questions. And I don't have all the answers for this. I have some suggestions, but mostly I have questions for you. And they start with, do you have sufficient staff? If your clients or clientele have grown this year, do you need more staff? Do you have you already arranged for temps to start early in 2016? This is the time to be doing that. We're running out of runway here. Do temps need to come in before the busy season to learn your routines and systems? Are you hiring actually new people who need the training? The odds are someone's going to get sick or just give up. How are you going to replace them on short notice? So one of the biggest factors that happens in any tax season, especially in the smallest offices, is some personal issue, a family emergency, a sickness and illness, a tragedy, a divorce. We are at the mercy of the human condition so much of the time during tax season, and there are just so few ways to deal with that effectively, but we have to be able to anticipate that. And we do it by training. Who on staff needs training? Who's going to do the training? Have our plans for training begun? What has changed in tax law and IRS since last April? And I shudder to think what is going to change between now and January. Does everyone understand the Affordable Care Act? Will everyone ever understand the Affordable Care Act? If you need to hire someone mid-season, what will they need to learn? Is everyone up to speed on all the new equipment we need to touch? Copiers and scanners, routers. How about the snowblower and the coffee machine? I'm not leaving anything out here, you guys. Is everybody knitted into a team? Does everyone understand the processes from the intake of data to the issuance of returns? Does everyone understand who does what? Does everyone have a backup buddy? If somebody can't come in one day, if somebody gets sidelined for a week or a month, is there somebody who can step in? Does everyone understand what decisions they're allowed to make and not allowed to make? That causes all sorts of confusion. Can data move fluidly and securely from person to person without getting lost, destroyed, or improperly released? And improperly released is a big issue, but the whole business can go home in somebody's thumb drive. So have we had a what-if meeting? Has everyone on staff contributed some thought on what can go wrong and what to do if it does? Let's get everybody involved in this. What if the heat goes off, a blizzard hits, hackers attack, a pipe breaks, the mainframe goes kerflooey? I understand that's the technical term, kerflooey. The toilet clogs, the router starts to smell of rotten eggs. Believe me, it's happened. Or 3 staff members break their legs on the same day, only in Jersey. Well, who does what? Who covers for whom? These are the issues that we have to start talking about with our teams. How are we going to ride herd on clients? Last year, priority clients was one of the biggest complaints. How are we going to encourage or guide them to get their stuff to us early in the season? How many of us have set up appointments, pre-tax season appointments? How many of us have started to send out organizers? How many of us have started to work with our business clients on their end of the year issues? Have we identified the clients most likely to come in late? We know who they are. Let's make a list. How can we solve the problems that result in late clients? How do we help clients bring us the information in a well-organized way? And by the way, technology is the answer there, and it's not too late. We still have a few weeks to get it up and running on the best that new technologies can bring us. Do we have a plan for avoiding identity theft? There was a lot of headaches last year. Have we talked to clients, sent them a letter, warned them about how to avoid identity theft? Have we taken all the measures we can to prevent identity theft in our IT system? Arrange for technical assistance in case of software problems. Have we migrated to the new systems? Are we ready? Is it time to change all those passwords? And then there's the personal issues we have to be asking ourselves. Our family knows what we go through, maybe better or as well as we do, but is there something that they could do for us in this new tax season? Do we have to have that heart-to-heart with the family? How do we help them develop a plan for surviving in our absences? More frozen dinners in the freezer? Are we allowing enough time, if possible, scheduling enough time for family during this season? And how do we improve time management? We've got a lot of ideas on that. Everybody has their own system. How do we schedule our phone calls, email responses, staff meeting, meals, naps, exercises? These things have to be, at the best firms, organized in a rigorous way so that there's a real discipline about meals and naps and exercise. What can we schedule now for 3 months from now? I mean, if you haven't scheduled your career vacation starting April 16th, you're probably behind the curve. How might we help our clients manage their time? We know they're busy. How can we help them do what they need to do to help us? So what blew a hole in last season's time management? Can we change that this year? How do we schedule downtime? Anything from a moment of meditation to a weekend off. We've got some suggestions about the best kinds of ways to do that. So the third polling question is, how ready are you? Considering all of these things, how ready do we actually feel? Are we totally ready and raring to go? Are you mostly on schedule and feeling confident? Are you one of those who says they really need to get going sometime real soon? Can you admit to being behind and a little stressed? Can you admit to being totally not ready and it's freaking me out? I know you're out there, but if you're on this call, you've already taken one of the first steps to getting ready. And the votes are coming in.
Yep, we have over 80% have voted so far, so if you have not, please go ahead and do so soon here. And again, just a reminder, this is the third poll question, and voting in this one is required in order to earn CP, so please select one of the options and hit your submit button. We'll take about 10 more seconds here for people to go ahead and get their options in.
Well, this is fun watching the numbers come in. This is going to be interesting.
All right, so we'll make a last call here. If you have not voted already, please do so. Going once, going twice, and we are done.
And 4% are totally ready and raring to go. Hey, you guys can sign off right now. You completed your CPE. You're totally ready and raring to go. Hasta la vista, baby. Have a great tax season. 51% are feeling mostly on schedule and feeling confident. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. 26% are a little more honest. They're a little behind. Need to get going soon. 15% are a little bit stressed. 3% are admitting to they're freaking out. Okay, those 3%, calm down, have a drink of water, sit back. We've got some suggestions for you. All right, let's keep going.
Great.
And 4 resolutions for busy season. If we do just 4 things this busy season, the things that are the most satisfying, the thing that make busy season that most meaningful, in addition to the fact that it provides a nice living for us, is that it allows us to really understand our value to our clients and to get that feedback from those clients. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So have we communicated our value? How do we communicate our value? Think about the peace of mind that we provide to our clients. Think about the fact that we get them out of trouble and we keep them out of trouble. We help them sleep at night. It is such a basic and such an important thing that we sometimes forget that it's the heart of what we do. We don't do taxes. We help people sleep at night. We don't do bookkeeping. We help people thrive. It's a wonderful, wonderful kind of thing that we do, and we don't take the time or make the concerted business process-oriented effort to communicate our value. And we'll get into a little bit of that in a while. We should resolve to help educate others. The tax system is absolutely whack, crazy, great. Everybody understands it. Everybody knows it. But it's a reality as taxes is real as anything else, and we're just the tax preparers. We're not the tax collectors. We don't make the laws. We don't make the regulations. We don't even have much of a vote on how this stuff turns out. But we can help our clients understand what's going on with facts, especially in an election year, to help them understand the difference between fact and rhetoric when it comes to tax and economic policy. They expect us to have the factual, objective answers, and we can do it without getting political, and we can help move this country forward. And we can be personal. We can be curious. We can get to know our clients, our customers, that much better. Get to know their aspirations, their needs, their future objectives. We can help them succeed in their lives by being curious. We help people achieve their goals by providing the means to do so, whether it's retirement, whether it's putting somebody through school, whether it's creating a legacy, whether it's affording the next vacation, a good Christmas, whatever it is. We help people achieve their goals. And the best moment of the day is when somebody says, thank you. You helped. And we can do more of that. So if we can be curious and find out, just take that extra moment and ask, how are the kids? How's the family? How's the business? How are you feeling today? It makes a world of difference to the client, to the business, but it also makes a world of difference to the world and to how we feel operating in the world. I'm getting a little spiritual here, but it it's part of what sustains us and part of what makes us a profession, because we go beyond the numbers. And we can do our part to improve the economy. We have we have a barely growing economy. It's a dual economy in many ways. It's a troubled economy in many ways. There are global issues to be dealt with. But as a profession, we have a pretty good handle on what the drivers are, what moves the economy down, what moves our clients' businesses up and down, what moves their incomes up and down, what moves their lives forward. And we can help do that. So if we can communicate our value by first understanding it, if we can help educate others about what we do, what we can do for them, if we can understand them better so that we can help do those things for them, and if we can collectively as a profession do our part to participate in the economy, and especially in this very important election year, we will have done something more than just prepare tax returns. We will have fulfilled the responsibilities of a publicly accountable profession. So that's kind of important to me, and I think it makes going to work a whole lot easier for a lot of people. All right, that's my soapbox. So, how do you make clients jump for joy? Number one, answer the freaking phone. You know how many accountants out there get, how many complaints we get from clients in our surveys because they can't reach their accountant? Just answer the phone. It makes a difference. Somebody in the office has to be there to answer the phone. We have to be prepared to do the extras for them whenever it's possible. We have to call to give a heads up when there are unexpected results. Good news is better than bad news, but they'll hate us if we don't give them the bad news early. We have to return their calls. We can't blow deadlines, especially the deadlines we make with our clients. We don't blow the IRS deadlines. They're on the calendars. We blow our client deadlines. We say, well, we'll call back at 4 o'clock on Thursday, and for some reason we don't. We're not always available. Are we always too busy to deal with a client? Is there no one in the office that can say, sure, they'll get back to you at 4 o'clock? That's when they start returning calls. And when a client complains, do we deal with it? Do we deal with it immediately? Do we recognize the importance of the problem to the client? We need to learn how to feel the way the client feels about it. The best practitioners know this. They do it intuitively. But we can't fool the client into thinking we care if we don't. And then operationally, we need to plug the leaks, the little things, the loose bolts that suck productivity out of the business, that leak expenses, that slow things down, that clog things up. They're the continuous errors, the inattention, the lack of focus, the failure to follow the procedures or to use the checklist we know we should be doing. This is a management responsibility. One of the problems is we're not catching the small errors or the divergences from the proper processes, but it shows a lack of oversight that the rest of the office can take advantage of with more and more digressions. We have to be strict. We have to be tough on this, professionally tough on this. There are right ways to do things, there are wrong ways to do things, and only right ways matter in tax season. There's no room for wrong ways. And it's much easier to stop the small leaks while they're still small leaks than when they become big floods. Errors are just that. We all make them, and sometimes they need to be overlooked. But what cannot be overlooked is repeated errors or a continuous lack of care or continuing following procedures. The responsibility of management, the responsibility of ownership is making sure procedures are being followed. If a procedure is not good, we'll change it. But until change comes, we have to follow those procedures, and people have to understand that the procedures are there to be followed. We may not like them. We'll talk about them. Maybe we'll change them. But until then, we have to make sure the office runs the way the office is supposed to run. And one of the biggest issues during tax season is just sloppy. Thorough work takes longer the first time. It's tougher to get it right the first time. But the review time and the correction time is drastically reduced. One of the best-selling items we have at CPA Trendlines is How to Review Tax Returns by Ed Bedlowitz. Some of you know him. It never occurred to me, Ed knew, didn't occur to me, that there had never been a book before on how to review tax returns. But the fact is that where we make our money is doing it right the first time. Where we lose our money is in the review process. So the art of how to review tax returns is really the art of how to do it right. The art of how to review tax returns and the art of how to do it right is really training people the first time how to do it right. So no matter how rushed you are to get something done or how much you rush to get it done, you'll always have to find time to redo it to make it right. There'll be no choice then. So it will be right eventually. The only question is, when will you get it right? Will you get it right the first time and make money on it? Or will you get it right the second or third time and lose money on it? So we need to teach the staff to work deliberately and focused with the goal that there's an important reason for them to be doing it. They should treat what they're doing with that importance. They need to understand they owe it to their client. And as these two guys in the picture show, they owe it to each other. So doing it right the first time is not just being fussy, it's smart business. The fact is, clients measure us by our last screw up. They don't measure all the good stuff we did for them last year, the year before, 10 years ago. They remember the last screw up. But we can only do one thing at a time. There's a lot of things going on during tax season. Tremendous number of things going on during tax season. We can't do them all. Or at least we can't do them all at the same time. So we need to create the structures and the disciplines, the processes and the procedures, and we need to have the people doing the right things at the right times so that we don't fall into the trap of chaos and multitasking, because multitasking is a myth. One of my writers is a neuroscientist by training, Jitendra Patel. The research he's found shows that typically we lose 2 hours a day to multitask. 40% lost productivity. And we're not really talking about multitasking. We're talking about switching from one thing to another, changing gears, getting reoriented. And, you know, a lot of the answers to this is the stuff our first grade teacher hammered into our knuckles with a ruler or our mothers told us. It's about exercise. You know, scientists have figured out it induces brain plasticity that can improve cognitive flexibility. These are Jitendra's words. He's the scientist. Even in older age, even more importantly in older age. But there's things we can do. We can put away the cell phones for an hour or two at a time. We could disable those pop-ups and reminders and those email notifications that distract us. I know I turn the cell phone off after 9 and don't let it ring again until 9 o'clock the next morning. There's entire weekends I will leave it in the kitchen and forget about it until Sunday. And I can't tell you what kind of freedom personally that brings to me. When we follow up with clients for missing information, we can get organized about that. Put the words missing information in the subject line of an email, for instance, and then we set up filters to move all the replies to a separate folder under our inbox. We can make our inboxes work for us. We can set a time to handle all further information provided by clients one after another, rather than acting on it at each moment when it comes in. We started to talk about chunkification here. Don't allow new information to break the flow of our thoughts. Instead, use downtime breaks to consume new information. A lot of people recommend 7 minutes every hour for a little bit of exercise, walk around the office, breath of fresh air. Experts advise filtering, which we can accomplish by delegating or chunking. And if you haven't heard of chunking, it means collecting the same type of task for multiple clients and doing them all at once, so that if you are reviewing returns, review many returns one after another, rather than repeatedly cycling through prepare and review routines. And we know coffee may stimulate us, but the healthier thing is just to go and take a walk. How healthy would it be to just to go through the office once in a while, see somebody pulling their hair out, say, take a break, go take a walk. Just get out of the office. You still get paid. Think like a restaurant chef. Before a restaurant chef starts boiling water, they gather and prepare all ingredients they need. It's called mise en place. As an accountant, we can start to make a mental note of the software screen we're going to spend most of our time on. Visualize it. And as much as technology is a help, it's also intrusive and distracting. So we have to understand that technology has to be controlled. We have to control it and not let it control us. We have to stop zipping through a screen quickly and then slowing down on another, because that's our brain on multitasking. Our brains are switching gears to process information. Tax and accounting software screens place cognitive demands on 2 or more different parts of the brain, scientists say when they hook us up, making the tax return production process less efficient, more time consuming, and ultimately more exhausting and more error prone. Now, best practitioners among us instinctively create operating procedures to keep necessary information ready before even booting up. Some of us have to work at it. So instead of mentally processing information on the fly, they just take it from a readily available place. It's a different way of working, requires different kinds of habits. The best practitioners know how to do it, and we can learn from them. We can think like manufacturing business. We can think that this is not a service business after all. Tax season is a manufacturing business. And we have to think in terms of production. 2015 might have marked a watershed in accounting firm digitalization, according to Roman Kepchik, working from a survey done for the Association of Accounting Administration. 47% of firms were on OCR by that time. And these are pretty good benchmarks for any firm. So think about whether or not you're on OCR, and part of that 47% OCR is optical character recognition, of course. 70% of firms are scanning client documents. 74% of firms, I thought this was interesting, are in instant messaging. It's not a Generation Y 20-something thing. It's a productivity thing. 71% have formal document destruction policies. Imagine what that saves in rent or hard drive space. 84% have paperless internal management reports. Stop printing out the monthly P&Ls. Make the partners go online. That really steams them, but it changes their habits. All of a sudden, they get tuned into working online and digitally in ways that they weren't before. 2 monitors were the standard up until just recently. In 2015, the majority of firms moved to 3 monitors. 74% are using data extraction tools, APIs, that pull information from one app to another. And one of the things that shifted from a minority thing to a majority thing in 2015 is that now we can say most firms are supporting the use of internet-connected mobile devices for their workers. That is, that we work in a 24/7, 365 world. It's not about balancing work and life anymore. It's about blending work and life. And we understand that in ways We manage it in ways we didn't before, and so we're more capable of responding to an issue, reacting to a situation while we're at that softball game, that soccer game, even on the weekend with a mobile device, iPad, iPhone, smartphone, internet connected, netbook, whatever it is. The fact is that management has taken to supporting this. Good for management. There's some labor law issues involved. That fact is that the world has changed, and most of us now are connected, whether we like it or not. So here's where we get to the energy boosters. And this is a great time to start good habits, because we have the time to start good habits. This comes from Sandy Smith-Leba. She's, interestingly enough, also a neuroscientist. She's also a CPA and a CITP, and was a pioneer in technology back in the 90s, and flew solo around the world in a single-engine aircraft. She's one of my heroes. So one of the things that Sandy Leba suggests is drink plenty of water. Let's just start today. Hold on a second. Ah, man, that felt good. Listen to your favorite music in the morning instead of the news. Why get all fed up about what's going on in the world when we've already given our proxy in a representative democracy? Get a massage on a regular basis. Eat healthy foods. This is stuff Mom told us. How come we're not doing it? Stay as relaxed as possible. You know, if you don't have the right chair yet, if you're still sitting in that chair that's giving you a backache from last April, isn't it time you bought yourself a new chair for Christmas? Meditate. Take a time out. Think. Stay positive. Clear your clutter. That's a big deal. There's a best-selling book out there that says, clear your clutter, and you'll think differently and act differently in life. Reassess your to-do list on a regular basis. Get enough sleep and sleep well. Those long nights are killers, and the older we get, I'll tell you, the longer it takes to recover from them. But these are the kinds of habits we can start now, before tax season. That way we should be living anyway. There's nothing here anybody's going to argue with, except that it's hard to do or hard to get started. It's like quitting smoking or giving up too much red meat or fried foods. Hey, we'll live longer, we'll enjoy it more. I don't know how you argue against that. And don't close for tax season. There are so many accounting firms out there, so many tax practitioners who are just too busy to take a phone call from a client. Too busy to take on more business during tax season. My gosh, tax season is the business. So this comes from Ed Menlowitz. Tax season is not a time for deferring client problems. It's a time for dealing with them. It's not a time for ignoring our business clients. It's a time for getting closer to them. It's not a time. It's not about not keeping in touch with prospects. It's about being intensely, intimately in touch with prospects. Follow those prospects down. Land those clients. This is the time of year where they're going to make a decision about which accountant to go to, and if it's not you, it's somebody else. So you can't ignore those new business leads. You have to follow them. You can't ignore extra training. This is the time people are paying attention. This is the time where that training pays off, because the training results in an immediate opportunity to actually do the work you were trained to do. It's not theoretical anymore. You can take 30 seconds, give somebody a 30-minute task, check back in 30 minutes, give them another 30 seconds and another 30 minutes. The progress will be amazing. It's a great time to be learning. It's a great time to be experimenting. Of course, everybody's involved. Everybody can see immediately, quickly, in hypervelocity, whether something's going to work or not. So go ahead and try it. Go ahead and innovate. Try those new things. And how can we leave out relaxing? How can we leave out a joke? We even sell a joke book at CPA Trendlines. I don't think they're good jokes. We call the worst. We call the bad joke book, and believe me, every single one of those jokes is bad. But we do take returns, and it's a time for special projects because people are focused on it, and it's a time for creating those opportunities. And it's a time for publicity and articles and being out there because the consumer, the prospect, the next business client is paying attention. This is the time of year where everybody's paying attention. It's showtime, baby. This is where we shine. This is where we do our best. I realize I have about 5 minutes. I'm going to go quickly through the next few slides. You'll have them in your handouts, but it's a great time to get personal with clients, for instance. Start by replying when you receive information by email to let the client know it received. A simple thanks, got it, get back to you as soon as I can. It's a great time to call or send an email when we receive information by postal mail. And some clients still use postal mail. And there are good reasons to pick up the phone. The first reason is the client needs to know that we're paying more than expected. They got to move some money around or make some money fast. The client will be receiving a refund less than expected. Pick up the phone. There's bad news. You got to pick up the phone immediately. There's 4 or 5 other reasons to pick up the phone. And there's several good questions for clients, and this comes from Jean Marie Carragher, one of our contributors. I mean, they're good questions to ask. Start a conversation. What are your priorities for this year? Ask a client, what are your growth plans? Ask a client, at what age do you plan to retire? Have you identified a successor? How satisfied are you with our service? How can we improve? How are we doing? How can we help build your business? How can we serve you more effectively? You'd be surprised about the answers you get or the answers you don't get. But it's a good time to ask. You have their attention and they have yours. So when we took some of these questions out to our readers for a survey, we got back some really good answers. And I'll leave you with some of these. And this is, number 1 is be prepared before tax season. Check the stock of office supplies, right? Print out a custom-made checkoff sheet with a column specifically for pending items so staff can see our notes and they can help. Get those ACA questions out of the way first before even starting the return. Sort documents in order of the software, i.e. income, itemized deductions, child care, school, other. Check estimates and verify. And have an easy assembly instruction sheet everybody can follow. And please join our survey. Click on cpaclick.com/busy16. You'll get real-time updates about what's going on during tax season, the emerging issues, the emerging solutions, what people are talking about. We always keep a real conversation going during tax season. It's a busy time for us at CPA Trendlines too. It's the time where we find our services to make a difference to people, to change the way they do business, to help them through the day. So, are you ready? I hope you're a little more ready now than you were an hour ago. We have got a few free things for you. We got 52 proven stress reducers, 117 no-brainer ways to attract new clients. Please join that survey. And Ed Mandelowitz Tax Season Opportunity Kit is a killer. You got to go to cpaclick.com/taxkit. That's a big one. There's my contact information. And Div, I think you've got a special offer for people. I think what Div wants to say.
Hello?
Div?
Can you folks hear me?
Div, you
Okay,
have a special
sorry.
offer for people. I'm sorry.
I do.
I snuck up on you there, didn't I?
No, that's okay. I was having a little problem with my connection for just a minute here, but yes, let me go ahead and take control back here. Okay, and Rick, are you seeing the special offer slide?
We're seeing a special offer, a free professional website for your firm, a $5.95 value. How can they turn that down?
You know, Rick and I didn't even rehearse that, but I think from now on, Rick is going to be our designated spokesperson because that was much more exciting than my mind would have been. But yes, you can get a free professional website for your firm. If your firm has a website right now, there's a good chance that it's not doing as much both for prospects and especially for your existing clients as it could be doing, and that's so important during tax season. And if your firm doesn't have a website right now, maybe it's because you haven't had the time to do it, maybe you think it costs too much. What we want to do is sort of address both of those sets of concerns and both types of firms. So whether you have a website right now or not, a website from Website Relief can do more for your firm, it can do more for your prospects, and it can do more for getting you noticed by potential new prospects, and we'd love to show you how. And so what we're doing right now in the spirit of the holiday season is we are giving away a free one-year subscription to Website Relief. Typically costs $595, and right now you can get it for absolutely no charge at all. There's no obligation, you don't have to buy anything at the end of it. We simply want to get this out to as many people as possible so that you can experience what a better, truly professional website that's geared for accountants can do for you. A website that includes tax calculators and portals and so on. Yes, Rick, did you have something?
That's like a Black Friday deal all month. And let me just add, when's the last time anybody on this call made any buying decision without going to the web first? They're going to check your website. Make sure it's a good one. Check out AccountantsWorld.
Thank you, Rick. So this is our holiday offer. We would love to tell you more about everything that's included in Website Relief and what it can do for your practice. So 2 ways you can get started with this. And as Rick mentioned, this is valid throughout the end of the month. But you don't want to be those people who are waiting till the last minute, which I'll be doing for holiday shopping. You don't want to do this with this offer because we don't want you to forget about it. So please go ahead and take advantage of this as soon as you can. If you want to find out more information, go to accountantsworld.com. You'll see a banner there, a blue banner that will tell you where to go to get more information. You can see some of the websites that some of our accounting firms have created. That thousands of firms across the country are using Website Relief already, so you'll get a sense of what they're able to do with it. You can learn some of the unique benefits that it provides. And then once you're ready to go ahead and take advantage of this offer, all you have to do is call that 888 number. Even the phone call is free. So call 888-999-1366, and one of our practice development specialists will be happy to get on the phone with you and walk you through the process of getting this incorporated as well. It doesn't take very long. It's a relatively simple process, and you can have a custom website that's easy for you to build and maintain throughout the year at absolutely no charge. So please go ahead and take advantage of that. And then finally, I wanted to say thank you for attending. Once you close the webinar window, the CPA survey will come up, and again, that's required in order to get credit for to get CPA credit for today's webinar. There will also be a link to the survey sent to you via email within the next few hours here. If you complete the survey on the spot right now, you don't have to do it again on the email. One or the other is fine, and we'll be issuing CPA certificates within the next couple of business days. Last point I want to make, AccountantsWorld would love to continue to have a conversation with you and make you aware of upcoming webinars that we're having. Best way to know what we're doing is to follow us on LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn, just go to linkedin.com and do a search on AccountantsWorld, all one word. We are, I believe, the fastest growing accounting solution on LinkedIn in terms of followers, so we're really proud of that. We offer tips and resources throughout the course of the year. So please follow us on LinkedIn, and we'll be able to keep you up to date. Thanks again for your time today. Thank you to Rick for an excellent presentation and for joining us today. and we look forward to seeing you at future webinars.